It's midnight, October 1998, in a rural corner of Indonesia. A 60-year-old grandfather named Suparman is sitting in his living room. He's a local healer, the kind of guy you go to for a herbal remedy when you can't afford a doctor. Suddenly, the insects go silent. A heavy metallic scent wafts through the window, the smell of wet earth and exhaust fumes. Then comes a sound that doesn't belong in the jungle, the sharp, electronic chirp of a high-end walkie-talkie. Before Suparman can even stand up, his front door is kicked off its hinges. 4 figures draped in head-to-toe black spandex storm the room, their faces covered by tactical balaclavas. To a Westerner, they look like a SWAT team. To the locals, they are the ninjas. They grab Suparman by his hair and drag him into the dirt of his front yard while his daughter screams from the doorway. The neighbors have already bolted their doors because they know the rules. When the ninjas come, you disappear. By sunrise, Suparman is found hanging from a tree in the village square with his tongue cut out. Pinned to his chest is a note scrawled in charcoal, "Witch." Over the next 90 days, this scene repeated over 150 times. It was a mass execution carried out by professional ghosts. As the bodies piled up, the world realized these ninjas weren't spirits. They were the opening act of a political conspiracy that would eventually force the government to do the unthinkable, officially put black magic into the National Criminal Code. But as investigators looked closer at the victims, they realized the ninjas weren't just killing random people. They were following a very specific, deadly list. In the US, we think of witch hunts as something from the 1600s, angry pilgrims with pitchforks. In Indonesia, the witch hunt was industrial. Victims were dismantled, dragged behind motorcycles, or decapitated in front of their families. But the hardware is what gives the game away. These men weren't wearing homemade masks. They had high-grade tactical gear and arrived in unmarked trucks using signal jamming equipment to cut off phone lines. To a villager in a town with no paved roads, tactical gear looks like a supernatural being. Rumors spread that these men could teleport through walls and vanish into thin air. That was the goal. Fear is the ultimate hallucinogen. If you convince a population they are being hunted by demons, they stop looking at the government and start looking at their neighbors. Paranoia became a national religion. People who had lived next to each other for decades began identifying witches just to stay alive. If you didn't join the mob, you were a suspect. Neighborhood watch units armed themselves with sickles and sharpened bamboo, stopping every car and every stranger. While the civilians tore each other apart, the professional killers simply melted away. The supernatural vanishings had a very mechanical explanation, and the trail of receipts for that equipment led directly to the most powerful buildings in the country. A ghost doesn't need a gas card. Moving 150 assassins across a massive island province simultaneously requires a budget, a supply chain, and police cooperation. In the late 90s, Indonesia was a powder keg. The 32-year dictatorship under President Suharto had just collapsed, and the economy was a smoking crater. The generals and the old guard were terrified of being tried for war crimes or having their billions seized. They needed a circuit breaker to pivot the public's anger away from the government. Witness accounts are chillingly consistent. When the ninjas arrived, the local police stations were mysteriously out of service, and phone lines went dead minutes before the attack. This was a green light operation. The ninjas were a deep state tool using folklore as camouflage. They turned a revolution into a horror movie to keep the status quo in power. The government didn't realize that once you invite the devil into the room, he doesn't leave just because the mission is over. The ninja scare left a permanent scar on the nation's brain. Decades later, the government decided that instead of fighting the ghost stories, they would simply sign them into law. Usually, when a country becomes a global player, joining the G20 and building massive tech hubs, it leaves the superstitions behind. You don't see the US Congress debating how to handle vampires. Indonesia took a different route. They decided that if the people were willing to kill each other over sorcery, the state would simply take over the business of punishing it. In December 2022, the Indonesian parliament passed a massive overhaul of their national laws. Buried inside was Article 252, which officially criminalizes the offering of black magic services. If you claim you have the power to cast a spell that causes someone to get sick, you're looking at up to 4 years in a federal prison. To a US citizen, this sounds like a violation of every civil liberty imaginable. But the logic is cold. The government realized they couldn't stop the belief in magic, so they made the state the only ninja allowed to hunt witches. But the true danger of this law isn't about spells or hexes. It's about how it's being used to silence people in the real world today. This isn't just a symbolic law. Reports are surfacing of sorcery task forces being formed in rural provinces. These aren't men in masks. They are bureaucrats with clipboards investigating spiritual healers who have too much influence over their villages. Imagine a business rivalry in 2026. In the US, you'd hire a marketing firm. In Indonesia, you can call the police and claim your rival is using black magic to curse your shop. Under Article 252, the police are obligated to investigate. The ninja didn't die. He just got a badge and a pension. By making sorcery a crime, the Indonesian government has achieved the ultimate form of surveillance. They have claimed jurisdiction over the human mind. They've told 270 million citizens that the government is the only thing standing between them and the demons. But when the government is the one defining what a demon is, you have to ask yourself, who is actually being protected? Today, the villages of East Java are quiet, and children go to school with smartphones in their pockets. But if you walk through those same streets where Superman was murdered, you'll notice people still speak in whispers after dark. The 1998 Ninja Scare was a masterclass in using fear to control a nation. It proved that you don't need a high-tech military to suppress a population. You just need a ghost story and a few men in black masks. The ninjas aren't getting out of hand anymore. They are the hand.